Hello, my name is Jamie Salsburg, and I'm the Clinical Director at Transformations Treatment Center. We're going to talk a little bit today about codependency and enabling. One of my favorite jokes about codependency shows a man and a woman getting up in the morning in bed, and the man looks over at the woman and says, "Good morning, honey. How am I feeling today?" And that's a good indication of what's going on in families that are struggling with codependency and enabling. So codependency essentially is basing your feelings on an outside person, place, or thing. And we see this a lot in mental health and addiction. This is often because one person in the family becomes sort of the caretaker, and the other person is typically the one who is dependent or needing to be taken care of. And that turns into sort of a pattern or a routine way of living, which is very hard to break out of. So when we talk about the word enabling, a lot of people get a look on their face like they've just done something terrible. So they kind of cringe like, ah, enabling. But the reality is that enabling comes from people doing their best to love someone in their life and trying to protect them as much as they can. So this is not a dirty word, and we know that everyone who has enabled someone has been trying to protect them and trying to do what they think is in their best interests. The problem is what works in healthy relationships does not necessarily work in codependent or unhealthy relationships. So for example, if you have a child who's healthy and they're just starting to make their way in the world, it may make a lot of sense for you to support them financially, or for you to help them with a car payment, or for you to help them even get a job. However, if you're dealing with someone with a substance abuse issue or with a mental health issue, that help may actually end up hurting the person. So while everything you're doing may be designed to protect the person you care about, you may actually be protecting them from what we call the dignity of their consequences. So one thing we understand about human behavior is that people typically don't change and don't want to change until the pain or the consequences get great enough. So if we continue to shield people from the consequences of their behaviors, they don't have any reason to change. This may look something like a loved one gets into trouble and you constantly get them out of trouble. A loved one spends all their money and you constantly give them financial support. A loved one does something to lose their place of living and you constantly give them somewhere to go despite that. So it's important to understand that while you may be doing what you think is in the best interests of your loved one, you may ultimately be perpetuating either the addiction or the mental health issue and not actually helping them. So one of the challenges faced by family members of loved ones who are dealing with substance abuse or mental health issues is that you've been there watching the disintegration of this person. So you've gone through this sort of loss, you've watched them lose themselves, and a lot of times once they go to treatment, it's finally safe for you to feel those emotions. Because many times you're pushing down those emotions and you're not able to manage them because you're too busy trying to manage this person in your life that's struggling. And so what happens is often these people will come to treatment and remember that they're getting a lot of support when they're here. So they're getting individual sessions, they're getting group sessions, they're getting support from other people who have been through the same things as them. And anytime they're not in groups and individuals, they have a whole support system that is here for them. And during that time, you are left home basically picking up the pieces of whatever mess they left behind. And that's challenging. It's particularly challenging because they might come here, start feeling better, and want to start being in a healthy relationship all of a sudden. While during that time, you may be feeling all of the things that are left over from everything that happened before they got here. It may be difficult for them to understand why you still might be struggling with anger or depression or frustration. And we try and educate them on that, but understand that they're in a very different place than you. It's also why it's very important for you to make sure that you're practicing self-care. So that may look a lot of different ways. If you're dealing with someone who's an alcoholic or a drug addict, Al-Anon is a great resource. You can talk to other people who have been through similar things. Therapy, whether it's family therapy or a therapist for yourself just to learn how to better take care of yourself, is a great option. and also connecting with other families who have been through the same thing, whether that's through our Facebook resource page or sharing information with each other, or just getting support from talking to our therapists and our staff here. One question we get a lot from family members is about our activities that we offer here. So they may be talking to their loved one and hear, oh, you went fishing today, you went to the beach, you went to the movies, you went bowling. And some of them get concerned and say, are they on vacation or are they in treatment? What's going on? Just to help you understand that and how important this is to their treatment, try and imagine yourself in a place where you know absolutely no one. So you're in a brand new place. You don't know any of the other people there. You're in a brand new physical setting, and you come in and someone says, okay, tell me about your deepest or darkest fears, or tell me about the things you most struggle with. So part of our job as a treatment center is to help clients feel comfortable enough to start opening up and sharing about the things that they often don't want to be honest with themselves about. And so a lot of the ways we do that are things like icebreaker activities, helping clients feel safe in a setting together, and also some healthy social activities. A lot of our clients also don't know how to have healthy social lives. So they don't know whether it's because they're dealing with addiction or they're dealing with mental health issues. They may not know how to comfortably be in a setting with other individuals. And so this is important with respect to their social lives, but it's also important with respect to things like being able to function appropriately and healthy in a job or in other settings that may be really important for them being productive. So we know there are a lot of choices and a lot of options when you're sending your family members to treatment. And we know it's also a very difficult thing to do, especially if these are people that you've been taking care of for a long time. And I first want to just let you know that the staff here at Transformations is a caring and connected staff. So every single person that works here because they either themselves have a personal stake in recovery or have a family member that's been struggling with it. So when we're treating your family members, know that we feel like and act like we're treating our parents, our children, our grandparents, and know that that's the way that they're being treated here. It's important to us that you feel safe with your loved ones here. We are always here if you need any support, any guidance, whether it's while your loved one is in treatment or 2 years later. Please don't hesitate to reach out for support.